to Limbwalkers podcast from the Jed TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Now here's your host, Will Glaros.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Limbwalkers podcast. We are recording live on the air on the radio at AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7 FM. We're recording in, it's July 24th. It's actually 10:37 in the morning. Anybody wants to call, we typically don't take phone calls, but if you want to call, what the heck, mix it up, 219-845-1100 if you find anything of interest in what we're about to talk about. He's Will Glaros. Will, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jimmy.
This is Will Glaros' podcast, basically, and I just kind of lubricate the chute so that we can speak about leadership, self-discipline, motivation, honoring time, and a whole bunch of other things. But if you are watching, and if you want to, there's a picture behind us of a Will Glaros standing out on the limb of a tree, and then very dangerously standing out on the limb of this tree. Can you go up a little bit higher on this for just a second so we can see it behind us? I'll describe it for those of listening on the radio or on an audio podcast. If one never ventures out on the limb, one will never taste the fruit. Limbwalkers, path to a happy life.
Well, to my happy life. I mean, hey, like I've tried to say every week we're on the air, these are personal experiences and pathways that I've taken. It doesn't mean they're the same for everybody else, but there may be some offset idea or thought that is shaken in someone out there in the listening audience to make them realize maybe I should try something a little different, get agile with where I'm going and learn some new things I can do so I don't have to always hug onto that tree trunk. I can venture out on that limb and I can taste that fruit. And I can just say after 75 years of life that I've had a lot of adventure and a lot of venturing and a lot of successes and some failures, but it's all been worth it because I can look back and say at least I tried to do it.
I don't know what number episode are we, Adriana, is back there. Who knows, right? But we've been doing a bunch of these. Please go back and listen to them. They're not, time sensitive or anything. You can find out some of the insights that Will has put forward. I think a couple of them were basically interviewing me. I'm Jed of Jed TV and Jed TV Sports Network, and I own the local radio stations. And we broadcast here from on Purdue Northwest campus. And I'm not necessarily kind of like a motivation guy or talking about discipline or Zig Ziglar or any of that stuff.
You guys been doing this for 17 episodes. Woo! This is 18.
Adriana Alvarez, the force behind the window.
You're very good with math.
She keeps it. Think about it.
I got it right there. I'm terrible at math, but we can make a podcast.
You realize we're doing this on a podcast network run by a 21-year-old student at Purdue.
Better, and someday she'll own a station, maybe this one. To give you your path out, Jimmy, you can then retire.
Speaking of
path out or pass out.
Will Glaros has been in insurance and is my insurance guy, and he found a path out and was able to find some cash out, and that is why he's able to sit here and speak openly with us. Will, you've got the Limbwalker Creed. And I'm going to read it again like I do on every podcast. I am special and unique. I will define a vision and plan for my life. And we talked extensively about those two in the last couple. I will be self-disciplined. I will have a positive attitude. I will work hard and persist. I will go the extra mile. I will look for the best in everyone. I will learn from every adversity and defeat. I will help others to grow. And number 10 is I will honor time. And, we just kind of pick one of these and go with it. We were going in order, but I think we're going to skip and do a couple of
I'm not
others
sure
down
I'm
the
ready
line.
for that.
Oh, yeah, with your bunion? You guys want to talk about...
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
You'll be able to skip?
That's what he told me. He said, don't come back for 2 weeks, which was good. And I think you'll be healed by that point.
So
I'm good.
Just not to... If anybody's eating breakfast or eating something while they're listening, I won't describe the bunion, but I will describe the shoe. He's got this massive bunion that's just like pointing at me right now, kind of like a finger sticking out of the inside bone on the front of his foot. And so Will has cut a spot in his shoes and has to wear the same shoes every day, basically, because it doesn't rub on the bunion, and it's got a sock on it, but the socks are the same color, navy blue, as the shoe. So unless you look at it, you don't realize that, one of, what was that one? Adriana, what's the one ogre that had a Shrek? It's like a Shrek finger pointing at us.
Hey.
But anyways.
Let me tell you something, though. The doctor told me the other day, he said that he has no patient that's as compliant with his footwear as I am, because they all buy these orthotic shoes, and I just cut the corner out of it so the bunion wasn't hitting anything, and I wear these every day. In fact, this is my second pair. I'm actually on my second pair, but it's been successful, so maybe we should sell it on the marketplace or go to one of these companies. I'm like Dutch and Polish, and you're mostly Greek, right? Half Greek, half German, half Greek, quarter German, quarter Norwegian.
All right. So which side won't pay the money for the orthotics and made your own?
The Greek.
All right, good enough. I'm doing a documentary about that little cow flood of 2008.
Yeah.
And I had an incredibly sad interview just 2 days ago. There were 2 people that died in that flood. And they were both Greek guys. But I interviewed the daughter, and I interviewed the wife of one of the guys. So it was... I think it's Victoria and Alexius. And during that flood, there was a kid who had fallen into the river, into the stream, and he got sucked under one of those big pipes under a road, and he didn't know where he was and all that. Well, he actually ended up making it through. He was just a little kid that just let the water take him. Well, a guy was sitting there in his house and saw that, and he ran out in his backyard, jumped in right after the kid, and then his dad actually also came in, and they were both Greek guys from the area, Maryville, and but this was in Chesterton, and they both perished. Mark Thanos and...
I know the name.
Yeah, Mark Thanos and John Thanos, and... It was very interesting to me. Let's go at one of them. Let's go at discipline. Okay? I think it was both Vic and Alexius, the sister and the husband of Mark Thanos. They got hero awards and all sorts of things. But, it took them a while to come around that they're going to do the interview. And I could tell that they had kind of... By the way, we're right on a major thoroughfare, so the fire trucks are going by.
Did I tell you I joined the volunteers, so I have to go now?
You did not. But anyways, they, started to tear up talking about it and stuff. But they were disciplined. I could see it where they took a deep breath and was like, I'm not gonna break down bawling here. This has been 17 years. It's still very fresh and very painful to talk about. But they would not do that. It was a weird, I'm like, I've interviewed so many people that have had grief that comes out in the interview. And, I can usually kind of push it that way if I want to. And I didn't really want to, but I was just going to go with the content. And I could see them exacting a discipline on themselves. Like, no, I'm not doing this. Mark and John deserve this. And they didn't say it, but I could see it's a discipline. I guess if you really think about it, it's probably a discipline that they had to kind of come up with. You lose your husband, you lose your brother, you lose your dad, all in one little 5-7 minute period. I mean, how do you get through that? You know what I mean? And part of what you get through with is discipline.
Well, I think you have a number of different types of discipline. I mean, you're basically talking about an emotional discipline.
Yes.
Where you have a major event occur and how you respond to that. Many times you can't practice it in advance, obviously. You haven't been through it before, so you respond probably more honestly and more emotionally. But I think when you have time to develop yourself from a learned discipline, from a learned situation that occurred before, it's a little easier because you've developed different sequences or ways you handle each situation. You're asked a certain question about it, you answer a certain way, and then it becomes a habit almost. And I think that's really what self-discipline really is. It is developing a habit to do the things, in this case, to get you through an interview. In the case of like what I do every day, my exercise routine is started 25 years ago from John Doherty at Community Hospital. I had hurt my back, had an L4 and L5 herniation and rupture. And I mean, I would drive to the office and be in tears by the time I got there. I would do all my business on the floor of my conference room with a phone next to me lying on my back because the pain was so intense. And I went for physical therapy to John, and I will never forget him saying to me, Will, he said, if you're not better by Monday, this was on a Saturday, he said, if you're not better by Monday, I think I'm going to suggest you have the shots done to clear up or at least help the problem. And I woke up Sunday morning, and the pain was gone. Now, it wasn't prayer or anything like that. It was just fortune that it happened that way. And I vowed to myself I would never, ever feel that kind of pain again because I didn't take care of myself by keeping my back strong and everything else. That was 21, 22, 20 years ago. And at least 5 days a week. That's part of the routine you and I have shared a number of times about. Up at 4, brush my teeth, shave, exercise for an hour, read for an hour and a half, meditate, shower, work. I just, even if I don't exercise in a day, I'm doing something else during that hour in the morning, reading more and getting more opportunity. Discipline keeps you on a rail. The intent of that rail is to take you to the goals that you have in life, and you've got to be disciplined to get there. If you're going to wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I don't think I'll go to work today, or I think I'll call and cancel that appointment with Jim. You can do that, but then that becomes a habit of its own. And so, to me, discipline is what is kind of the magic fire to getting to whatever your goals are, whether or not they're personal goals or they're business goals or sports goals. There was a great story about Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig, no matter what happened, no matter what kind of a day he had, he would go back and practice his hitting and everything else that he did, never missing a day because he wanted to be the best he could be. And he was. And I think if you strive for being the best you can be, you have to develop a self-discipline to get there.
Now, Well, let's just go in order. I think we've already, on the Limbwalker Creed, we've already covered. Number 1, I'm special and unique, and I will define a vision and plan for my life. Let's go to 3, and we'll talk about that self-discipline. To me, there's 2 kinds of discipline. One is an external discipline, and then the other is an internal discipline. Now, you may start with external discipline, like say you go into the Marines at 17, and you have no discipline whatsoever, and they hammer it into you, and then you come out and you have internalized that discipline. That's kind of an extreme case. But for me personally, it has always been, how can I internalize and make it part of what I do? I love routine. You talk about self-discipline and having a vision and a plan. I just like repetitive things. Like I get up at 4:30, I go right here to the Y, I stick my thing in the computer and it tells me what to lift and whatever, and then I go down and I swim and I come in and it's like a perfect thing. I never thought about it. I already set that routine. Perhaps that's a kind of discipline, but
Well, I think it is. I mean, I think just getting habit and routine are good as long as what you're using as a habit and a routine is positive and it's towards a goal for some reason. Mine was to never ever feel that pain in my back again. Ultimately, it ended up helping me when I had prostate surgery 4 years ago, because what normally they told me would take anywhere from 3 months to a year to get back to normal function from the standpoint of going to the bathroom and everything, because you have leakage and all this, I did it in a month. Because of what I had done for my back, I was already on the way to I think they call them Kegels for women for childbirth and everything, but I learned to control that so well with my back exercises. I had very little training to go through to be able to do that. So, I mean, for my case, it was originally pain that ended up leading to a discipline that ended up helping me through another issue I had to deal with.
So I mean, I hadn't really thought about this, but there's a bit of a pattern that you're talking about. Trauma. My back hurts. It's killing me. I can't even work. I'm laying on my desk. I can't, I'm trying to get my work done. And then, you used the discipline to basically reform your back so you didn't have to get the shots, which once you get the shot, you always got to get the shot. Basically, it can be a lifelong thing. And then you have the prostate surgery, and you're like, well, I've already used this tool, this discipline, and you're able to come back quite a bit quicker. I mean, obviously, we opened up talking about the 2 women that experienced amazing grief, and they seem to be doing pretty well, and that they were able to do an interview that would be very difficult. And they did it without breaking down, and they've gone on to live their lives and go forward. Obviously, discipline has been a part of that. So I guess what I'm looking at is, in those 3 instances, there's been a trauma, and the discipline that was already in place helps you get through.
I mean, I think that's true. Discipline isn't as simple as just saying I'm going to do this routine every morning. It's the discipline when as an example, when you're working in a job and there's something new you need to know. And you say, forget it, I'll wait and do that in a month or 2. I don't have to worry about it. But the guy who ends up succeeding ahead of you is the one that said, no, I'm going to do it right now. It's here. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to be experienced at it by the time you pick that first book up down there in a month. And I'm going to be more competitive than you are in business. I mean, some of it is out of necessity, like pain. Some of it is out of a sense of that feeling you want to feel success. It's also out of the sense sometimes I don't want to be a failure. And how do I not be a failure? I cannot be a failure by doing these steps in different fields I want to be in. I mean, I know when I played competitive golf in high school, you had to go out every day. And I thought I worked pretty hard at it, but when I hear the stories about people like Rory McIlroy and Tiger and all, Scheffler, they're practicing 6 hours a day. And if they're not doing something right, they find a way to correct it, and they don't miss, unless it happens to be off season and they can back away. Discipline, self-discipline, discipline is developing those tools and having them in place to be able to use. Self-discipline is activating yourself to use them, to call on them, to recover them when you need them in certain circumstances. One of my biggest discipline impactors was you didn't want to fail. When I opened my own business, I didn't want to fail, so I did whatever I could and anything I could that was legal and within the bounds of time and not negatively impacting family to drive towards success. Same thing, when you raise your kids, you have to have the discipline to say, you know what, these kids have activities and I have to show my interest in those activities, so I'm going to go. I could go play golf. Sure I can, but my real obligation is to these kids.
Well, let's talk about that when you apply number 3 in the Limbwalker Creed. I will be self-disciplined. Self-discipline, we all get that. We just talked about it for 22 minutes. What about having the you ran a business, you're in a leadership position in various organizations, and people had to report to you, and you had to make the organization go forward. What about your expectations of others in terms of discipline?
I think when you're in a position of leadership, that your obligation to other people, I don't think you can force anyone to be self-disciplined. They've got to have something. I think it's all part of a continuum of thought. You have to have something within you that is so powerful in driving you towards something that you're willing to do anything and everything to get there, that's legal and honest and everything else. When you're dealing with other people that are working for you, your job then becomes to be I think, silent, not forcing people, not being holier than thou with them. But I think the goal then is to try to give them the steps to learn why and how to be self-disciplined.
Wait a second. Instead of just having, I can't believe you're screwing around, or you can't get in on time, or you're not doing the work, you're looking at it as your responsibility to give them the tools that they can use to meet certain discipline standards.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, as a person involved in working with others, I think it is. I mean, to me, my greatest joy comes from helping other people succeed, or helping, as an example, when I teach art in action with the kids at St. Paul's in Valpo, the look on their faces when they're learning about things they've never heard of before. And there I kind of did a incentive to being disciplined, to enjoying the class. And I mean, these kids are all volunteering to respond to questions I have and everything. First day of class, I bring the Newton's cradle. I think I gave you one, didn't I? Little 5 pinballs. You pull one back, it hits 4, 1 goes out. You pull 3 back, they hit 2, 3 go out. It's Newton's law, which says for every action there's an opposite and like reaction. The kids love it. And I tell them during the class, if during the next 8 months you as a group put out the appropriate effort in this class, I'm going to give each and every one of you these little Newton's cradles. I have not had a class yet that I've done, and I've done it for I did it for my kids when they were in school. I've done it for I think this will be my 7th year at St. Paul's. So let's say 10 or 12 years I've taught. I've never had a year where we didn't give away the Newton's cradles. And it wasn't well, I'm just going to do it because I want to be a nice guy. They earned it. I mean, these kids would get so excited about art that it was just like, oh, wow, I want to know more about him. And so there's different ways to incent people to be disciplined, but you just can't make somebody disciplined. You have to lead them there, like you lead a horse to water. You lead people to it, and if they're not going to have it, they may still be successful. They just may not reach the ultimate peak, the place that they could be if they were.
So let's leave with a tip. Somebody's listening to this and they're like, all right, I get it. It's talking about discipline and, it seems a bit rigid, but, I'm okay. I agree. I'll let the discipline come into me. But I got to start somewhere to have an awareness about self-discipline. Give us an idea of, like, if somebody came up to you with that question, I want to start, I want to build some self-discipline. Give me an idea. I mean, Will, do you have a suggestion on where I could start?
Read. Honestly, read. You can get books on self-discipline. You can read some of the motivational people. I mean, you've talked about them on the program quite a bit.
Simon Sinek is a good one.
Oh, Sinek is.
Once you figure out your why, then basically the discipline falls behind it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, it's today, fortunately, which I think probably has more impact. When you read it from a book, you're reading it in your own hearing, and you kind of almost hear yourself talking it into your head. When you watch them online, you're listening to them and the excitement they have for it. And the people, to me, that have always had the largest impact have been the ones that really believed it. And I saw them, most of them, in person. Robert Schuller, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley. I mean, these are old-time guys. I like following them because they weren't as much showmen as some of the guys, the Tony Robbins and people like that, who are very good. But read, study other people, see what they say about self-discipline. It is really one of the most important things to being successful is being able to self-discipline yourself, however you do it, with fear, with desire to succeed, whatever it is. It's the engine, it's the rail that keeps you in path toward whatever you're seeking to achieve.
Let's end on right there. This is the Limbwalkers podcast. If you're listening on the radio or watching it on YouTube or anything, you can get this pretty much wherever you get your podcast. There's not a lot of Limbwalkers, L-A-M-B Walkers podcasts out there. As a matter of fact, there's none others, so you'll be able to find it. Will, as always, thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Always enjoy it.
Until next time, see you later.
This has been Limbwalkers podcast coming to you from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Thank you for listening.